Okay, real talk. What if everything you've been told about the Nazca Lines are completely wrong? I'm talking about those massive desert drawings that everyone claims are alien landing strips or ancient star maps. Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because I just went down the deepest rabbit hole of my life, and what I found is going to flip your entire worldview upside down. The truth isn't just stranger than fiction, it's way more human, way more heartbreaking, and honestly, way more incredible than any alien theory could ever be. Fact 1. These aren't random drawings, they're a connected network. Here's your first reality check. Every single one of these mysterious lines has a clear entrance and exit point. We're not talking about random doodles here. This is a massive, interconnected network that spans hundreds of square miles. Even the famous spirals, they're continuous walkways that lead you to the center and back out again, like the world's most elaborate maze. It's basically ancient GPS, but instead of turn left at McDonald's, it's follow the monkey to reach the sacred center. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. Scientists just discovered something that changes everything about how these were actually made. Fact 2, thousands of people walked these paths for centuries. Plot twist of the century, using high-tech magnetometry, basically X-ray vision for dirt, archaeologists discovered that these lines weren't just drawn once and forgotten. Oh no, these paths were walked on repeatedly by thousands of people over hundreds of years. The evidence is literally beaten into the ground. We're talking about foot traffic that would make Times Square jealous. These weren't made to be admired from above. They were highways for human feet, walked so many times they became permanent scars in the desert. Now this discovery completely destroys the most popular theory about these lines, and honestly, it's about time. Fact 3. The alien theory is embarrassingly wrong. Can we please put this alien nonsense to bed once and for all? Some dude named Eric von Daniken wrote a book in 1968 claiming these were alien landing strips, and somehow half the internet still believes it. Here's the thing. The ground is so soft and sandy that, as researcher Maria Reichi perfectly put it, the spacemen would have gotten stuck. It's like trying to land a plane on a beach. Plus, why would advanced aliens need to draw pictures of spiders and hummingbirds to navigate? Did they lose their space GPS and decide to use doodles instead? But if it wasn't aliens, then what drove an entire civilization to create this massive network? The real reason will absolutely break your heart. Fact 4. Every single animal drawing is connected to water. Here's where this story gets emotional, folks. The Nazca people lived in one of the most brutal environments on Earth, the Atacama Desert, which gets less rainfall than Mars. I'm not kidding. Mars literally has more water than this place. And every single animal they drew, spiders, whales, monkeys, hummingbirds, they're all connected to water in some way. Spiders appear when there's moisture, whales live in oceans, monkeys live in rainforests, hummingbirds drink nectar. These weren't alien runways, they were desperate love letters to water carved into the earth by people who were literally dying of thirst, and their desperation led them to become engineering geniuses in ways that will blow your mind. Fact 5, they built water systems that still work 2,000 years later. While everyone's obsessing over the pretty pictures, the Nazca people were out here building spiral-shaped underground aqueducts called puquios that are still functioning today. We're talking about hydraulic engineering so advanced they could make water flow uphill through spiral channels. Your modern plumber couldn't figure this out, but these primitive people mastered it 2,000 years ago. They weren't just artists, they were the ancient equivalent of MIT engineers. But their engineering brilliance was matched by their absolutely wild religious celebrations that would put Coachella to shame. Fact 6. Their holy city was ancient Burning Man on steroids. Cahuachi, their massive ceremonial center, wasn't a regular city where people lived. It was empty most of the year, maintained by just a few priests. But during festivals? Holy moly. Thousands of people would show up for what was basically prehistoric Burning Man. They brought fancy pottery, hallucinogenic cactus, fermented corn beer, and guinea pigs for sacrifice. Then, and this is the kicker, they would intentionally smash their most expensive pottery as offerings to the gods. It's like if people today bought Ferraris just to crash them for good luck. However, their religious desperation went way beyond broken pottery and got seriously dark. Fact 7. They collected human heads like trophies. Archaeologists found dozens of trophy heads, actual human skulls with holes drilled through them and ropes attached for carrying. These weren't just decorations, they genuinely believed that human heads had magical powers to make their crops grow. Whether these were honored ancestors or defeated enemies, we'll never know. But imagine trying to explain that to your homeowners association. Sorry, Karen, but my tomatoes won't grow without these severed heads in my garden. What makes this even more tragic is the fate that awaited this incredible civilization. Fact 8. An entire advanced civilization just disappeared. The Nazca people, who created these lines between 100 BC and 600 AD, literally vanished from history like they never existed. No written records, no surviving descendants who remembered the stories, no oral traditions passed down. By the time Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 1500s, they found absolutely nobody who knew what these giant drawings were. The locals were as clueless as tourists. It's like an entire civilization just hit the delete button on themselves and erased their own story. But the most heartbreaking part is what they were doing right before they disappeared forever. Fact 9. Their biggest monuments were built while their world was ending. Here's the tragic irony that'll make you cry. The largest, most impressive Nazca Lines were created in the 5th to 7th centuries AD, right when their civilization was collapsing. As their world dried up and people starved, they built bigger and more desperate monuments, literally placing new lines on top of old ones. It's like posting increasingly dramatic Instagram stories while your life falls apart. Their final act was essentially screaming at the sky, "Please somebody, anybody, send rain." And now we come to the devastating truth about what actually killed this brilliant civilization. Fact 10. Climate change murdered them 1,400 years ago. The Nazca people didn't fall to war, disease, or conquest. They were murdered by Mother Nature herself. After thriving for 700 years, a massive drought hit that lasted over 40 years. 40 years, no rain, no crops, no future. The survivors fled to the mountains, taking their secrets with them. By 600 AD, the desert had won. The people who could make water flow uphill were defeated by the simple absence of water from the sky. The mind-blowing truth that changes everything. So here's what the Nazca Lines actually are, and this is going to blow your mind. They're the world's largest prayer wheels. These massive ritual walking paths where thousands of desperate people marched for centuries in sacred processions, tracing the shapes of water-bringing animals, while literally begging their gods for rain. Every line, every animal, every spiral was part of a massive religious ceremony where entire communities would walk these paths together, praying with their feet for the one thing that could save them: water. Think about it. When you're really desperate, when you're really scared, what do? You pace. You walk back and forth. You move your body to calm your mind. Now imagine an entire civilization doing this together, carving their prayers into the earth with their footsteps, creating monuments to hope while their world literally dried up around them. The Nazca Lines aren't alien landing strips or ancient observatories. They're the most human thing imaginable, a desperate prayer for survival, walked into existence by people who refused to give up hope even as their world ended. These lines represent humanity at its most vulnerable and most resilient, building monuments to faith while facing the impossible. What other mysteries do you think have simpler, more human explanations? Drop your theories in the comments, smash that like button if this completely changed how you see ancient civilizations, and subscribe because we're just getting started uncovering the truth behind history's biggest mysteries.